Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is Mujib Khazi and you're watching my YouTube channel. February 11th has a very historical and important significance in the history of Kashmir. This day, Maqbool but Shaheed, who was the pioneer of Kashmir freedom movement, who was given death sentence and he was hanged in Tihar jail of India by the Indian judicial courts for the crime that he never committed. So Kashmiris around the world commemorate this day in the memory of their beloved leader. And obviously there was other organizations such as Jamaat Islami and other political parties who also wanted to give importance and commemorate this day. But instead of 11, they chose February 5th. So February 5th is the day that the people of Pakistan and Kashmir celebrate in solidarity for the people of Kashmir who are struggling to fight their independence. But my focus today would be only who this a great leader, Maqbool but Shaheed, in reality was. He was born and raised in Indian-occupied Kashmir. He made 4 attempts to cross the line of control other side of Kashmir, but he failed. On 5th attempt, he managed to come this side. So he went to Peshawar University for his early education. He received his master's degree in literature, and soon after acquiring his degree, he launched his own newspaper, Khyber Weekly, where he wanted to highlight the issue of Kashmir and give boost to the movement of independent Kashmir. Soon he realized that just being a journalist alone in publications will not help movement of Kashmir, so he decided to go into politics. He ran several elections and he ran several campaigns. Even a great leader of KH Khurshid, he was part of the campaign. But he soon realized even the politics was not enough for the movement of Kashmir. And he found that the people who were in the politics were not sincere enough for the cause of the Kashmir. So he founded an organization called Jammu and Kashmir Plebiscite Front. He was somewhat successful, but he also realized that just having a peaceful movement was not enough. And this was the time when the Soviet Union was in Afghanistan. And then they formed another organization called Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front that was to fight the struggle for the freedom of the Kashmir against the occupation forces. So at this time, he crossed the line of control again to Jammu and Kashmir, and he went back so he can bring the movement on the grassroots level in Indian-occupied Kashmir. But while he was crossing the line of control, during the crossfire, he was blamed that he killed one of the CID officers, which later on found out that he was not the one who killed. But he was charged that you killed a CID officer, so he was put in jail. Right before he was given a death sentence, he dug a hole of about 38 feet and he escaped and came back to LOC and crossed and came back to Pakistan. So when he came back to Pakistan in 1970, Pakistan has just passed Azad Jammu and Kashmir Act, and that has taken away somewhat the autonomous status that state of Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan has. So he was very disappointed. He said, well, friends that we were heavily banking on are not on our side. So to highlight the issue of Kashmir, he hijacked an Indian passenger plane, brought it to Lahore. He released all the passengers, but he put the plane on fire, where he was charged in Pakistan under Public Enemy Act of Pakistan. So he is basically one of the only leaders in the world who was charged in the 2 countries under the same act, which is the Public Enemy Act of Pakistan and Public Enemy Act of India. In India, he was charged because of the killing of that CID officer. And in Pakistan, he was charged because of hijacking the Indian plane and bringing it to Pakistan, bringing the bad name for the country. So in 1978, when he went back to Indian-occupied Kashmir, so he was arrested again, he was put to jail. So on February 11, 1970, he was hanged. He was sentenced to death under the Indian judicial court system for the crime that he never committed. This was the history that we wanted to bring it to our youth, for our people of Kashmir to realize that this movement of freedom has paid its ultimate price by many individuals. We have been made promises by the international bodies, international nations, but unfortunately, as of today, that has not been happening.